ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the latest gaming news with your host, V-Gaming Junkie. The Dross was ported to PC and modded into pure diamond-studded gold, so there's nothing but pure gaming-related meatiness. It is all about that electronic good stuff as we dive deep into all that's new in the various interactive virtual worlds. According to producer Takeuchi, Capcom wanted Resident Evil 7 to be an online game stuffed full of microtransactions. Because of course they did, this is what modern AAA gaming is all about after all. Takeuchi explains that they wanted it to be a live service game, somehow believing that fans wanted it to adapt to trends. Yeah, maybe more like Capcom wanted it to adapt to more money in their wallet if you ask me. Given that 5 was a bit divisive and 6 was scorned for being too far action, this probably would have severely damaged the entire franchise. As is though 7 ended up being very critically acclaimed, proving that yes, people still do want a traditional single-player horror game out of Resident Evil. As it turns out, throwing out what made it beloved isn't going to be how you please your fans. If they want a live service multiplayer game that badly, they can just play one of the ones that already exist. There are many reasons that people enjoy Resident Evil, and that isn't it. An action-based mode like Mercenaries is one thing, actually basing an entire game around such a drastic change is a whole nother ballpark. I applaud Takeuchi for standing up to Capcom like that. I have a word of advice, not just for Capcom but for pretty much all game companies out there. For the majority of gamers, they actually don't play a game for its microtransactions or live service crap. If they do play such a game, it'll most likely be in spite of that. Most people don't like having to pay extra to get the most out of the game they already paid full price for. That's excusable in free-to-play games, but not here. In other news, after 8 months of being down, the Dark Souls 3 servers for PC are finally back online. After a possible remote execution code vulnerability understandably scared them into taking the servers down, it seems they're finally back up. While the first 2 are still offline, at least it's a step in the right direction. I myself played Dark Souls 3 last year, and even as it was handing me my own backside on a silver platter, I got enjoyment out of it. It's good to see that more people will get to experience the joys of the online functions, such as being invaded and torn a new one. Frankly, I'm just glad that they haven't abandoned Dark Souls in favor of Elden Ring. I'm sure the mindset of some companies would be, if you want a superior experience with no bugs, you'd better buy our latest game. It's good to know that From Software isn't like that and will actually devote resources towards games that came out in 2016 or even all the way back in 2011 for the first one. Here's hoping all the Dark Souls series is back online soon enough because it just isn't the same otherwise. What if I told you Microsoft spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to secure a cooking simulator? This is no joke, as Microsoft, according to Eurogame, actually spent $600,000 to get Cooking Simulator by Big Cheese Studio onto Xbox Game Pass. Mamma mia, that's quite a lot of green for a game about cooking greens. It actually released in 2019, so it's not that new of a game either. Perhaps Microsoft sees this as the one game that will finally convince countless people to buy into their game subscription service. Nah, they're probably more likely just sucking up as many noteworthy games like this as they can find. Given a game like this actually costs $600,000 to get on the service, you can imagine what bigger titles, God forbid, AAA games must cost. Well, if anyone can eat that cost, it is definitely Microsoft. Unlike Netflix, maybe all these things that Microsoft is trying to get onto the Game Pass are actually of good quality and worthwhile. Cheap shots aside, it's definitely an interesting news story. Something like Google Stadia where you still have to buy the games is definitely a strong turnoff, but the Game Pass seems like it's genuinely a good deal. Or at least if you plan to actually get mileage out of it. It'll depend on how heavy you game, really. In other news, hot off the success of Sonic the Hedgehog, SEGA is adapting 2 other classic games into movies. It seems they're opting for Space Channel 5 and Comic Zone. Definitely interesting choices for movies, especially Space Channel 5. It's all about rhythm, both shooting and dancing. It should be interesting to see how they go about adapting it, like some kind of sci-fi action musical or something. Of course, this is in addition to the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie being worked on, so regardless if these 2 really end up taking off or not, at least they also have something that will probably be successful. Personally, I don't really see much point nowadays to adapt video games into movies or other mediums. There was a time where I could maybe see it, maybe the N64 era and before that. Even in the GameCube era, things were starting to look so much better. Even if there were still very clear-cut limitations, Resident Evil 4 was already showing what was possible with increasingly viable graphics. For the most part, if you want a loose approximation of graphics from a movie, video games can do that. With real-time ray tracing increasingly blooming, that fact is only going to become more and more apparent as the gap narrows. I already thought Kingdom Hearts 3 did a very impressive job imitating scenes from movies, and that was without ray tracing. My point is, I think it's unnecessary to adapt video games to anything else. The gain in visuals is becoming less and less, and it removes the interactive element. Even in something as simple as What Remains of Edith Finch, which I will use as an example until the end of time because it has such an amazing story, it uses gameplay elements to great effect. The only way I can see an adaptation really being useful is if it covers aspects you couldn't really make a game out of, like Samus's childhood on Metroid. All I'm saying, Nintendo, is that you've already got a manga out of it. Making something CGI out of it would be amazing. That being said though, hopefully these two movies are good. Maybe it'll get more people into gaming, and that's always a good thing. This next news story isn't really strictly video game related, but it is a very significant news story all the same. You know Dreamworks Animation, don't you? Makers of such classics as Shrek, How to Train Your Dragon, and Shark Tale? Anyway, they have been open sourcing their tech recently, and Moonray is about to join that list. Moonray is the ray tracing renderer they use to make their movies with. That's right, you too could potentially make your own Shark Tale soon enough. Or you can always aim a little higher and make your own Shrek. It's really up to you. Mind you, Blender has been open source since 2002 and it's been getting progressively better, so it's not like there weren't options before. Still though, it's pretty great to see something made by a company as big as Dreamworks becoming open source. It seems in the Disney age, things are more steering towards jerking people out of their copyrights and holding out everything for dear life until the end of time, so it's nice to see examples of the opposite. Big ups Dreamworks, here's hoping someone out there uses this for good when it comes out. Or at the very least, plenty of people make such terrible things with it that they end up being completely hilarious. Although, let's be real, most people are probably just going to use it to make porn. Speaking of things that are free, Age of Empires 4 is free to play now. I'm afraid that isn't permanent. It's only until the 28th, so you better take advantage while you still can. You can bet that I'll more than take advantage myself just to check it out. I'm a huge fan of Rise of Rome, even if higher difficulty levels can really kick the crap out of me. Maybe I should get back to playing Age of Empires on this channel at some point. Of course, that'll have to depend on interest. Okay, back to the news story now. PC Gamer reports that Age of Empires 4 will also receive an update in October. It'll apparently come with new maps and new civilizations, among many other smaller things. I should mention that this free period is on Steam in case anyone's sick of me focusing on Epic's freebies so much. If you're into real-time strategy, give it a try. You can't really argue with free, or at least I know I can't. In other news, Sakurai is starting a YouTube channel on game design. If you don't know who he is, I don't blame you because he's pretty obscure. He just made this small little game series known as Super Smash Bros, so you know, nothing real special. Seriously though, as of the 24th, his channel has 3 videos on it. The first is an introduction, the second showcases games that he's made over the years, and the third is his first real game design video. He mentions about the importance of hit stops, which are basically pauses when you get hit. It's interesting what a difference a pause can make, not only in fighting games but in top-down and side-scroller shooters too. If this is any indication of what's to come, then I look forward to seeing more of his videos as he shares his wisdom on game design. And as always, straight out of the oven of Games Radar, it's time for the latest batch of release dates. The 30th starts with Back 4 Blood, Children of the Worm DLC for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, as well as Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed for PS5, Series X, and PC. It continues with F1 Manager 2022 for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, as well as O or X for PC. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga Collection for PlayStation and Tinykin for all 6 major platforms round out the 30th. Skate for PC on the 31st rounds out August. September starts with Chinso Club for the old band of 4, as well as the Dragon-esque Command of the Flame and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R for PC. What you'll say next is, that's amazing that All-Star Battle is coming to PC. I can't wait to play Best Boy Joseph. Finally, the second has The Last of Us Part 1 for PS5 and PC, as well as LEGO Brawls for the 5 major game consoles. This week's epic freebie until next Thursday is The Ring of Pain. It's a roguelike card crawler, so basically a roguelike card game. It definitely has unsettling horror down from the looks of it. And that concludes the news broadcast as always. I hope you found it entertaining and informative. If you good people want more content, I Let's Play every single day at high noon, live stream Mondays and Thursdays unless otherwise specified at 4:30 p.m., and I do news videos like this one every Friday at 6 p.m. All in Eastern Standard Time, of course. If you're a real junkie for all things gaming like I am, then feel free to hit that subscribe and bell icon to get your next fix. A like and a comment are always appreciated for that engagement, but I just hope you genuinely enjoyed yourself, and that is it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. Spread this video around like dodge bullets, and I will see you next time. Capitalize on life, peace out, have a good one, and I'll see you next time.